Now, would it be right for me to ask you if Nigeria is losing the battle against corruption?
Certainly,
because
we are losing. We are losing the value against.
You're making me not.
See, number one, I think it is very, very apt to properly define a problem.
Okay.
If you don't define the problem properly, you won't know where you're coming from. Like I said before, definitely, when you say corruption, when we talk of financial corruption, that's one thing. When you talk about personal corruption as a person, as a people, that's a different ballgame entirely. I'm telling you, yes, Nigeria is losing the battle against that financial corruption. You can see the progression, and the reason why we're losing that battle is because we have not and we did not define the problem properly.
Why did you say financial corruption? Sorry.
I'm talking about the corruption, the first one you define. If you probably check in the dictionary, there'll be many different definitions of corruption. The first one talks about taking money and not collecting the bribe. Okay, fine. Okay, that's all well and good. We're losing that battle. But in terms of the person, that's a different ballgame entirely. To say, oh, is he a debased person? Is he a wicked person? Is he a perverted person? Is he an inferior person? All those kind of words that's used. I won't take that from anyone. Okay? Because equally, if you even look around the world, you know, the point is this, you know, look around the world. Some of the countries that will point fingers at us as being corrupt are worse than us. The kind of things they do are worse than we do. We won't wage a war against a country and go killing millions of people just to get their resources. We won't. Look at how we got to where we are. I wish I could read a few of, maybe I'll be able to read a few of things that Michelle Aron documented about Kenya here. And when the colonialists moved there and they pushed the people into the fringes of society, into the barren lands, there were areas called the White Mountains where only whites could, the white highlands or whatever, where only whites could have farms. And then in order to force the blacks to come and work for them in the farms, they started taxing them. There were hut taxes for building your hut. There were land taxes, in which case, by the time the people couldn't pay those taxes, they had to come and work for the whites. So look at that. You see, if we don't consider a historical perspective where we're coming from. However, mind you, I'm not justifying this. I'm saying that we need to fix our culture. A scenario where even down to, from our culture to our religion, has been infused with all sorts of things, our interpretation of our culture and where we're supposed to be heading to. We've missed it in that, and I wonder where are our thinkers? Where are all the professors, all the doctors? How many people address such issues from the very base of it? What should we be doing now? How do we redefine our values? Those are the issues that we're talking about. How do we ensure that as much as we want to be good to our family, to our extended family and all that, but how do we ensure that it doesn't affect and make us begin to do something? Why is it that an average Nigerian man wants a street to be named after him? I want to say, oh, this is Tope Fasua Street. Oh, yes, I'm the one coming. Why is it that we measure our successes by the size of the building we have, by the size of the car, on the number of the cars that we have? Why is it that as we speak today, even those who complain about corruption the most are waiting just for the opportunity to also take their own?
Don't you think because there's already a structural deficiency, so to speak?
And where's the structural deficiency coming from?
If a man earns 50,000 naira, for example, he goes home with that pay package every month, and that man provides electricity for himself, goes out to get a generator from that meager 50,000 naira. Probably his wife is also depending on that 50,000 naira. His relatives are depending on him for that 50,000 naira. Isn't there already a structural deficiency? And show me the money and tell me that I would have the courage not to approach the money to steal it, so to speak.
So certainly there's a structural deficiency in the system. The point is to say, where did it come from? See, let me tell you what. Let's not make a mistake about it. We're a creation of the colonialists. Okay, I'm not talking about the amalgamation of Nigeria. The amalgamation is just as Kenya was amalgamated. There are 40 major tribes in Kenya as recorded with different problems and all those sorts of things. The same way we stereotype ourselves is the same way they stereotype themselves in Kenya and all that. See, to let us know when we're talking about these things that there's nothing special about Nigeria per se. The only difference is this, okay? The only difference is this, that Nigeria is far luckier than Kenya in terms of resources, especially human resources. Not in terms of the number of people. We've got very smart people here. We've got great technocrats here. But what we don't have thinkers. So the same way we stereotype ourselves is the same way they stereotype themselves in Kenya. Perhaps I can just read a certain decision for you. It said their entrepreneurialism, talking about the Kikuyus, said the entrepreneurialism has won them the control of the matatu trade, and they run most of the capital's kiosk restaurants and hotels. Eluo, which is where Obama is from, on the other hand, is all show and no substance. That's what they say about themselves. His date may be wine and dine, but she'll pick up the tab at the end of the evening. born with huge egos, the flashiest of dress sense, and the gift of the gab. The Luo excel in academia and the media. Luyas, that's another tribe, are said to lack ambition, excelling as lowly shamba boys, watchmen and cook, stumpy, loyal, happy to take orders. Kambas are natural office clerks, soldiers and domestic servants, but watch out for potions, freak accidents, and charms under the bed. These are the spellcasters of Kenya. Enticing and provocative, they are women dressed in air-watching bright colors and so on and so forth. So the Kalenjin care more about their cows than their houses, than their homes. Macho and undomesticated, the proud Samburu and Maasai make for perfect recruits to the rank of watchmen, wildlife rangers. Does that tell you something about Nigeria, the way we stereotype ourselves? So you see, number one, you see, the colonialists came and there's a total distortion of the kind of system that we understood and we could run. It's not that those systems that we were running were right also. They were archaic and they could not progress us as quickly as we would. Okay, but the fact that distortion that's happened in our system, the point now is this: the challenge for me and you is to understand how we're going to live with that and ensure that in doing whatever we're doing on a daily basis, we're not further decimating our own greatness and reducing the speed at which we're making progress where we want to be.
That brings me to the question of our anti-corruption policies so far since, okay, let me say since democracy. President Obasanjo, the former president, actually said he wanted to fight corruption in Nigeria. The anti-corruption policies, how much gain have we actually seen? Because it seems since probably the EFCC, ICPC, CCB, which is the Code of Conduct Bureau, came into power, most people do feel that the rate of corruption has even gone wider. We see, just like you said, how can you rationalize that someone will put 2 billion naira in his bedroom?
It is said that in any society, the more the laws you have, the more the laws will be broken. The more the laws you have, the more the crime. So the issue, like I said before, see, let me tell you what, fine, it is okay to have the EFCC's Code of Conduct, ICPCs of this world, but until they go back, it's not enough to accuse a Nigerian man and say, you know, but for example, okay, a policeman takes 20 naira on the street, and it becomes you become so indignant that why are they taking 20 naira on the streets? When maybe, as a matter of fact, it's not been paid for 3 months. What do you do? Now, so there are these people, most Nigerians are normal in the band, if I look at it. Most Nigerians are normal, just trying to get by, really, that's the truth. But in the fringes, we've got people who have gone totally insane. Maybe the bosses of the policeman who would rather pack all their salaries and then just share the money. That's a problem, because at the end of the day, many times they take these monies abroad and where they can't even assess the money. Often, like James Ibori now is not finding it funny wherever he is, and everything he owns in London, in the UK, is gone. I mean, it's going to be, the government there will sit on it. So what's the trouble for? What's the fuss about, you know? So that's the thing. So like I said before, fine, Nigerians are not corrupt. Nigerians may be stupid in the main, not knowing, and maybe confused, okay, not knowing what to do now or what not to do in order to make sure that the society is more prosperous and that there's betterment for all. And of course, a few people certainly have psychological problems. Certainly, if they walked into any psychiatrist's office today, they probably would be chained down. Because by just giving them a mere questionnaire to say, answer these questions, you will see that they've gone wacko. You know, I mean, they may be big men, they may be wearing suit and tie like me, but they've gone absolutely insane. So that's there. Now, I must also let you know that, you see, for us as African people, okay, people of color, colors, black people, what is expected to us of us in this world is double what is expected of anybody else. If a black person is seen like urinating by the roadside, what goes through the mind of a foreigner? Oh, these people are monkeys, you know, who we've been trying to reform them and they have refused to be reformed. If a Chinese man or an Indian person does that, this means that, oh, it's just an exception. If a white man does that, they say, oh, he's just drunk, which means that we've got to run double the pace. But now we're not even trying at all. It is expected of us to run double the pace. In terms of financial integrity, in terms of integrity in anything we do, we are expected to run double. You don't understand this, but it's very, very important. You do. Thank you very much. You know, but it's very, very important to note that what is expected of us is double. The challenges and the responsibility facing us as black people is double what anybody else anywhere will face.